Okay, freight brokers, I think it's important that we are aware of the facts. And what the statistics say is that 65% of small businesses fail within 10 years. So you might be the type of person that says, oh, okay, I'm going to be a part of the 35%. I'm not affected by that. I'm the type of person, though, I look at what statistics are. And I understand that there's a very real possibility that I might not be in business in 10 years. I've been in business now for 7 years. So I think it's important that we as business owners not only invest in our business, but we also should invest in other things, in other businesses as well. Because if something happens, if your business goes under, then you still have other investments. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you an investment that I made, $50,000, and it returned $36,000 in income. Maybe it's something that you want to think about.
So I've been trying to figure out how I was going to share this information with you, because I don't want it to be about me. It's not about me. What I want to do is show you through me how a regular person just like you, just like me, can build a financial empire if that's what you want to do. But it takes building it one brick at a time. But I want to show you how I've been putting those bricks together so that you can see my journey. And if you haven't already started on your journey, you'll have even bigger reason to start, because now you're looking at a guy very similar to you. Not a whole lot of difference between you and I. I come from a small town, single parent home, military background, worked a job after the military as a DOD contractor, and then I started my own business. So I've been doing that for the last 7 years. But I'm not a whole lot different than you are. But now, what I want you to know is that at some point we come to make different decisions. And those decisions impact our lives in a big, big way. The decision that I've decided to make, and I decided this just 3 years ago, at the age of 45, I decided to say, no longer will I make liabilities the key focus of my life. No more of that. Now I'm gonna make assets the key focus. I'm not gonna just spend my money on things that don't have value, that don't give me something back. I'm gonna start spending my money now and buying companies. And when those companies do well, I get a return on my investment. I like that better than having credit card debt. I like that better than having loans, having car notes. But in a nutshell, what I want to show you today is how a regular person like us, how we can do that. It starts with cutting out all of that stuff we just talked about. You see, I live in a modest home. This is a nice home. It cost me $902 to live in this house. It cost me $0 to drive around in my 2007 truck every day. Zero, because, and I mean as far as paying for the truck, it was a cash payment, $5,000. I've had that truck now for about 3 years, 2.5 years, and it served me well. But I don't have debt. I don't have debt to spend my money on, so I get to spend my money on investments. I invest my money. And this year, what I want to show you is I was able to put $50,000, approximately $50,000, in a 401k plan. And that $50,000 in a 12-month period returned $36,000 in investment income. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that's a super fantastic achievement. And I don't have any special type of education when it comes to finances, financial books. And I believe that you are a product of what you read. If you read, and you read to understand certain things, certain types of books, you're gonna start to gain a certain knowledge. But I still don't have an extensive knowledge of the financial system. I'm just a regular guy. And I was able to put $50,000 in a 401k and earn $36,000 in investment income. And what I want you to know is that you can do it too. You see, why was I able to put in $50,000? Yes, I earned substantial money in my business, but it's because also that I am a disciplined person. I spend money on assets, not on liabilities. Now, I'm going to get some liabilities at some point, but there's a period of time where I focus intently on one thing. Right now, that's assets. That's assets only. So I cut down my cost of living. $900 to live in this house, $0 to drive the truck, no credit card debt, no loans, no nothing of that sort. Just a mortgage. And I owe less than $100,000 on this house. So I'm actively always thinking about getting out of debt. Not just consumer debt, but mortgage debt as well. Because the more money that I have coming in, the more money I can spend on the things that I want to spend it on. So $50,000 this year. How did I put $50,000 in a 401k? That would be a good question, because there's only a $19,500 limit for an individual. But I told you I own a business as well. And when you own a business, you can do things that individuals can't do. You see, that business allows me to hire my wife on as an employee. And I told you that I could put $19,500 for myself. Well, when I hire her as an employee, now I can contribute $19,500 to her as well. So that's a total of $39,000. And we hadn't, included matching funds in that. And then I have $6,000 that I can put into a Roth IRA for myself and $6,000 into a Roth IRA for my wife. So it's about positioning yourself in your business so that you can make a hire that helps you to put more money into tax sheltered accounts. That's what it's all about. See, because the more money that's outside of the tax shelter, the more money that's available for the government. Taxes. Taxes is a big thing. That's a huge expense. As a matter of fact, my biggest expense is taxes. So I have to put money as much as possible into tax shelters so that that money is safe. It does not have to deal with the taxation that the money outside of the tax shelter has to deal with. So this is a way that we mitigate our tax liability by having these tax shelters. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to pay more taxes than you should be paying. And oftentimes, we pay a whole lot more in taxes than we should, especially as we compare it to the very successful people in life. So if they can find ways to decrease their tax liability, we should be looking for those ways as well. I use a buy and hold strategy. And within that buy and hold strategy, I invest in what's called index funds. Good question is, what are index funds?
According to Wikipedia, an index fund is a mutual fund or exchange-traded fund designed to follow certain preset rules so that the fund can track a specified basket of underlying investments.
Okay, let's put that in a language that we can understand. An index fund is a mutual fund, or ETF, exchange-traded fund. Now, how a mutual fund differs from a stock is a mutual fund is comprised of hundreds or thousands of stocks within that one mutual fund. An ETF is structured the same way, hundreds or thousands of stocks within that exchange traded fund. Whereas when you're buying stocks, you're buying a single stock. You're buying Apple or you're buying Amazon, just one stock, okay? Now, it says that it is designed to follow certain preset rules so that the fund can track a specified basket of underlying investments. Now, when we're talking about a mutual fund or an ETF or an index fund, we're talking about that index fund tracking a certain type of index. In this case, it's going to track the S&P 500 index. You also have the NASDAQ and you have the Dow Jones. I like buying the S&P 500 index. So this index fund tracks that overall S&P 500. So I don't have to go in and try to pick the best company, the number one company. I just pick an index fund, and now my money is spread throughout the top 500 companies in the United States, because that's what the S&P 500 is, the top 500. Now, I didn't say they were the top 500. I didn't pick them to be. Folks that are a whole lot smarter than I am said that these companies are the top 500. So that's already been taken care of. I just worry about getting the money to the fund. So it's fairly simple. It's not like I'm sitting in a room all day picking the best stocks, trading all day. No, it's like you put the money in one time and then you go ahead about your business to go to work again. And then it's about understanding your game, understanding what you're good at. Take emotions off the table. Take ego out of the picture. Just deal with the actual facts. And I know that I'm not a stock picker. I leave the stock picking game up to the experts like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio. Those are the guys that are really good at evaluating companies and picking companies. That's not my game, so I don't try to play that game. I play the game of picking index funds, and then the hard work is to put the money into it. That's it. It's not some type of game where you are in a war room all day and you are trading and making all of these different moves. That's not it. Your job is just get the money in. Now, you might not be surprised to know that this year, the biggest winners in my portfolio, what led to me being able to make that $36,000 off the 50 grand, were mutual funds and ETFs, particularly VIGAX, that's a Vanguard Growth Mutual Fund, VOO, that is the S&P 500 ETF, VGT is another ETF, that's a technology ETF, and VSIAX, that's a small cap index fund. So those are the big winners in my portfolio. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Don't stay on the fence too long. I stayed on the fence a whole lot of times saying, oh, the stock game is too difficult. I don't want to have to deal with that. You know, I'd rather invest my money in real estate. I'm not going to deal with the stock game. Get that thinking out of your mind. We are talking one of the best games in the world when it comes down to the financial world. To me, it's the best game, period. And I've played a lot of different games, football, basketball, baseball. But the best game in the world to me is the stock market. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Certainly hope this information has been helpful. See you at the top because the bottom is much too crowded.